We have a short open mic list, but if there's anyone who would like to add their name to it or just spontaneously come up and read, there'll be plenty of time for that. I'll start us off with a poem of mine. This is called Stranger. It's actually a 10-year-old poem. In the seat next to me, a young Thai woman tells me she is flying home for her mother's burial. As she offers this, all I say is, "Oh," a little protracted with a downward elision to suggest sympathy without the meaninglessness of a stranger's "I'm sorry." Do I strike the right note? Perhaps for stopping myself at "oh," I become more of a stranger. Our question of the month this month is, what age would you like to live again? And our first reader is Scott Galasso, who says the summer of 69. 1869? I don't think so. Or the Renaissance. Scott Galasso.
Okay, I write everything from 2 lines to 250, and luckily for you guys, I'm not doing the 250 today. So these are all going to be haiku and senryu, and I just have one brief statement about one of the poems. I have a friend of mine, Ed Trobeck, who had been a painter for over 20 years. He had a niece that came over to his house, and he was, entertaining her, and she had some Play-Doh. So he started working the Play-Doh, and then he suddenly stopped and he looked at his hands, and he said, "Why didn't you tell me?" He's been a sculptor ever since. So one of the poems refers to that. Triad of geese, just wings and the will to use them. Glacial ice, the way her blue eyes took the news. Her words in my ear, sugar and spice. Morning fog conjures ghostly figures, workers to the mines. Just after dusk, a single searchlight scours the sea. Meatballs cooking, the uncle who taught me his secrets. Blue denim, the perfect roundness of her pockets. The sky this forth, gunpowder gray, fireworks to come. Working Play-Doh, the once painter converts to sculptor. Opening day, boyhood memories crowd my mind. White hair on a white page, the mind still green. Rattle of the rails, the tales I could tell if I rode them now. The weaker sex, tell it to the mantis or the widow in black. As if smoke and smog were not enough, tear gas. Low bass hum of bow on strings, her deepest secret. Wind ransacks the cherry blossoms, buds hang tough. Her ball at my feet, the active animal who wants to engage. Week-long rain, his colorful streak of words, none of them gray. 13 cranes, the city skyline readjusts. One breath, the difference between I am and I was. And I'm going to read one poem, fairly short. Summer Day 59. Roslyn, Hempstead Harbor. Provisions with ham and cheese sandwiches, Coca-Cola, rod, reel, silver gillies for bait, small bucket for the day's catch. Brother and I on a 2-seater with a putt-putt motor, trolling between the Sound's North Shore and Connecticut coast. Light breeze, feathers on skin, June's morning sun. Talking baseball, telling jokes, sipping the sugar, casting. Catch and release of small fish, not trophy worthy or large enough to eat. Tug on my line, clench of arm muscles, suddenly fat. A sand shark landed, thrashing, biting. Take the hook out, Tommy says, laughing as I dodge the beast. You take it out, I counter. It's 2 feet long, if that. Finally lassoed into the pail, it swims best as confinement allows. At home, the shark scares younger siblings. Father says, "What now?" We didn't know. We hadn't thought it through. Soon it dies, is buried under a tree. 50 years later, not many regrets, but if I could reboot time, I'd brave the hook, let the sea reclaim its own.
Thank you very much, Scott. Whoops. Always dancing around with this microphone here. Alrighty. Up next, we have Julia Nguyen, whose age that she would like to return to again, or like to live again, is the 1920s. And I think I would have to agree there.
Okay, so this one's a lot funnier than I usually do, so hopefully I have the confidence to pull it off. And hopefully you get the references so I don't sound like an alien. Okay. Eyes like the cosmos, heart made of gold. But you must have glanced at Medusa, 'cause I feel it stone cold. Can I call you Odysseus, 'cause Troy's fallen, come home. Or maybe Ulysses, if we're talking about Rome. You've found yourself now, but you're missing from me. Advice from the Beatles, I should just let it be. I blink and I miss you, and when I blink 182, you're the voice in my head, and I miss you, miss you. It's dark, I'm awake, that's a plus and a minus. Waiting for the great pumpkin, steadfast hope, just like Linus. I must have been dreaming that you drove down my block, but the sun shines eternal when you meet me in Montauk. Ash as confetti, celebrate my soul dying. I'll say I'm just tired, like Jim Carrey, I'm lying. Nighttime feels hollow, a lone skyline view, so I'll light up a cigarette in honor of you. So sure, call me emo, 'cause I love reading Plath, but nothing burns worse than a feminist's wrath. But don't ask if I'm depressed, I'm Sylvia's biggest fan, and when the bell jar won't lift, then I am. I should have majored in English, countless issues Freud would like, too much love for humanity, my 90s kid impulse said psych. I imagine like Justin that our hearts are in sync. I know girlfriend's got problems, probably more than you think. Page gang and cardio, 'cause it only just hit me. My heart's full of spears, cry me a river now, Brittany. You're still the McDreamy to my Meredith Grey, but if I was a neuro, I'd convince you to stay. But maybe I'm clever, or maybe insane, so lock me in Arkham with the Joker and Bane. Why so serious? Want to know how I got these scars? It's a story told best when I'm drunk at the bars. But enough with the jokes. These are tears of a clown. There are days I can laugh, but most days I feel down. So here's a poem for us fighting demons within. They always fight dirty, but they don't have to win.
Thank you, Julia. I'm going to inflict a few American sentences on you. This is a short variation of haiku invented by Allen Ginsberg. My kids are 8 and 10, which is useful to know. Sarah is one of them. Sarah says she doesn't need reading glasses because she's good at reading. Sarah says erosion comes after A, B, C, and D erosion. My daughter wants to know why the eggs are sad in her egg sad sandwich. My wife says instead of carpool lanes, highways should have espresso lanes. And another poem. This is also about my kids, but written a while ago when they were much younger. It's called The Point. I write the number 2 differently now. Used to be my pen began with the curve of the top angling down to a point at the lower left, then straight across to the right. Now the point is gone. I change diapers, play soccer in the living room with my overactive toddler, pack a suitcase for trips to the grocery. The point has given way to a loop, for it's all the time I have. Next I will no longer cross my 7, no longer dot my I, nor cross my T. But my children will have porridge on the breakfast table, fresh Elmo Band-Aids on their owies. Thank you. And next up, and this is our last open mic reader, unless someone else wants to join the fray. Eric, is it your last name? Alaman? Eric Alaman? Okay. Eric's age that he would like to live again is the age of 23, but I really enjoy now, which works for me. Eric.
So this is my first time reading in public. Let's have a few here. Start out slow for you guys and for myself, honestly, so I can get used to this. Okay. Write them down, the feelings, the names and dates, the words that come to mind, the ideas that guard us from complete loss. They guide my senses, keeping me from giving up. One more day goes by, and my words help me strive. All this work is a burden. It can't be helped. Words come to mind. I want to savor the feeling, so I write it down. Because like you, it too is fleeting. Then this is a poem that was inspired by a friend of mine. I remember being very young and hearing this poem. Well, not this poem, but something kind of similar. I later reconstructed it in my mind. So it's called, or I call it, All-Consuming Fire. A fire burns within my body. It's the love I have for you. I am being consumed by the fire of my love for you. Pain consumes my body with the fire of the love I have for you. Pain like a boil about to burst with my love for you. I remember words you said to me. I'm holding on to your love for me. I am burned by the love you gave to me. Grief and pain have left my body numb. You said you are leaving here. You said you will leave me here. Where are you taking my love? Don't forget words I've said, my love. Goodbye, my love. Goodbye. This one I wasn't going to read, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. If anybody out there is bothered by it, excuse me. You use me and I'll use you. I love you like only I could do. Every night I feel a little dumb, but when I watch you, what can I do? I watch you watch me. I can see right through you. It's just a little bit of happiness. It's an ignorant blissfulness. We were never in love, so there's no heartbreak to heal. At night you call, I can't help but come to you. Like you need me, or you need me like I need you. No one can feel you like I do, so breathing heavily, I can come when you want me to. And so the theme for this was, I've shared some poems with friends, but they've always been a little less naive or a little less, lovey. But I'm working on building a site that I'm calling Lovesick Poetry, and so it's kind of in preparation of that, I guess. Becoming more comfortable with that part of it. Okay, here we go. I have here on my lips that last kiss we shared. I can't seem to keep it well hidden. I have on my face that dawn when I wish you'd come back to me. I have here under my bed the daily sunrise we ruined. I have so many things and none are in their place. I have here in a glass the wave of early mornings with you. I have in my curls the rhythm of the tango Jenny I couldn't dance to. I have written in my sigh words we meant but couldn't happen. I have so many things and none are in their place. After you, I understood that time has no friends. How short-lived love, and how long remembered. I will be the glow of light at night when you're above sea level looking down. I will be the book you pick and hold for hours. I will be the taste of a kiss on the ocean, an old proverb about how to forget. We will be immortal because I live in your memory. I have here under my pillow a photograph of you in California. It says more than 1,000 words, and I respond, I love you too. I keep my window open so you might crawl through it, like when we were young. I keep the stopwatch turned to the moment you left, so I might remember how much time I've spent without you. I have so many things, I have them all in my mind. After you, I understood that time is not my friend. How short-lived love was, and how long forgotten. I will be the beauty mark that adorns your skin, a dove nearby, a spring of luck, coffee or tea, some look that drives you wild. I will be a feeling that everything will be all right. We will be immortal, because like I can't forget you, you won't forget me. And that's it.
Thank you, Eric. I think it will get better. Two quick announcements. The Redmond Association of Spoken Word has its monthly reading over the Old Redmond Schoolhouse Community Center on the last Friday of each month. So the next reading is March 28, and it will feature Paul Hunter. And if you don't know his work, well, for one thing, he produces letterpress books and broadsides, which are beautiful works of art. So come just to see that. He'll have some on display and for sale, and also read from his poetry. And he's told me he's going to bring his banjo, so that should be fun. That's March 28, at the Old Redmond Schoolhouse, usually room 206. And then our reading here next month for Soul Food Poetry Night happens to fall on April 17, which is National Haiku Writing Day. And so we're going to have a special feature. What? It's called a National Haiku Writing Day. Haiku Poetry Day. You're right. Thank you. Yes, you're right. National Haiku Poetry Day. Yes. Yes, you can write. So we'll have some readers from the Haiku Northwest group will come and read their haiku. You can bring your haiku, and you can read other stuff, whatever you want in the open mic. But we will be featuring haiku poetry as the featured reading. So I'll close this off with one more poem. This is called... You have another poem to read? Okay. Well. No, there's time. There's time. Why don't you read now then?
Well, I wasn't sure how many people would come, so I thought, well, I'll bring a couple extra. Okay. This is Untried. No one's heard this one before. I've never read it. How many people have seen 2,500 Bodies Nude? This is a poem I wrote in response to an art installation that involved 2,500 people undressing and lying down on the street. It's called and it took place in Montreal. Montreal at dawn. Between bites of maple buttered toast, I opened the Vancouver Sun to find 2,500 bodies in the pink, fetal curled at dawn, young, old, big, small, with bowed backs and cracks exposed, all pressed skin to skin against the cold concrete of Place des Arts. Black and whites guard the edge of flesh, this photo shoot titled Nude Adrift. This blossoming in shades of beige, pink, black, and buff. Hushed by remarkable sameness, they crouch, vulnerably juxtaposed in abstract design, mankind huddled against the harshness of the globe. I peer closer, try to separate limbs from this indecipherable mass, search for signs of humor, eroticism, a familiar face, perhaps, for signs of individuality. Finally, I pinpoint one man, audacious, flat on his back, one out of 2,500, lying face up, watching the sunrise. And just this last poem, this is all I brought, 2 extra. Michael had mentioned the poem I won a contest with that rode the Whatcom County buses for a year and sat out in front of the library and all sorts of. It got a lot of mileage for the subject, which is about our great northwestern slug. It's called An Intimate Look at a Slug. Poor slug, like you we secrete, but prefer to keep our moistness hidden from the public eye. We perspire, slow our flow with astringents, deodorize, stay dry. A repugnant moist muscle, we watch your naked gloss pull like molasses across the paths we walk. Your horns palpate as you retract, reach towards a glutinous future. With a moue of disgust, we watch you smear through the dust of the world, an unshelled mollusk, unable to hide, vulnerable to the cling of debris, to dryness. Poor slug, without a shell, you not only repel, you remind us.
Thank you, Carol. We need more slug poems, clearly. Does anybody else want an opportunity to read? I don't want to skip anyone if you do want to read. If not, thank you for coming, and I'll close with one more poem of mine. This is called This Side of Suicide. I imagine those who commit suicide never dreamed of murder, whether by gun or knife or poison or a push off a precipice. Somehow they must think the violence easier if they do it to themselves, when they don't have the victim's eyes to watch as the blood drains from their throats, or they fall away into nothingness. No, murdering oneself is surely easier, not a moment of rage, but a calculated act, a wishing for darkness to end the deeper dark, a fearlessness to kill the final fear. We are told it is a sin, unforgivable, that it banishes the transgressor to hell, survivors to the unresolvable grief of separation. Yet who can say what lies on the other side? But this is not my concern, for there are redwoods to walk between, children and glaciers to photograph, love to make. It never rains all the time. Good night.